So to say, well, we lost to Oregon and we lost to UCLA. No, it's about where are we as a program? Where are we going? How do I give my student athletes the best chance to win? How do I continue to build this to a place that we are the best program in the country? That's the motivation.
Look, bottom line here is there are two ways to look at this firing. Number one, you can look at it and say, look, man, we gave you over a decade. And you can look at it and you can say your record against top 25 teams is 15-28, and you are even worse against teams that are ranked in the top 10. You can look at it and you can say the bottom line is, even though you did pretty good last season, especially with how far you made it to the playoffs, maybe you play here, play there, things are a little different for us, but there was a significant drop-off this season. You can look at it and say Penn State is sending a message that, look, we're here to win. And we gave you enough time and you couldn't get it done. We have to be about winning. We appreciate the consistency. We appreciate how the players were here. We appreciate what you built. But we have to move on at some point. And firing you in the middle of October is an example of we want to win. And whoever we bring in next is going to understand that mentality. I mean, it's very Jimmy Johnson of him, cutting a player in practice or at the end of a football game, right there on the bench. I mean, that's Jimmy Johnson-like, right? In that the whole thing about being a winner, making difficult decisions like that and setting a precedent, right? This is how we are going to show people that we want to win and win now. It also shows that they probably have another individual in mind, which we're going to get to that in a little bit. Or you can look at it like this. You can go, man, he took you guys out of a really dark place. Took you guys out of a dark place and had Eli Manning there. And what Eli Manning did is Chad Powers is now being broadcast as an entire show. You can look at it like we've got guys like Jordan Peele and Key. They're hanging around. They're doing impressions of you. This is great for recruiting. You can look at it and you can say, look, it's just a bad season, man. Look what's going on with Drew Aller and everything else. It's just, we're having some bad luck this year. Whatever the case is, sure, we're not good, but we can rebuild again. You can look at it and say, we were there last year. Does anybody forget how close we were to being really there last year? You can say that. And you can say, why would you fire a guy who did all this for you in the middle of October? Are you kidding me right now? Do you understand where this man brought us out of? And by the way, everything that you described is literally Coach Franklin. You don't have to question moral problems with him hanging around campus. And a lot of people will never forget how Joe Pa's tenure ended at Penn State. Me personally, what would I have done? If I would have said to myself, I know that I'm going to fire him. I can't deal with what we've gone on this season. I don't like how we've done overall against top 25 teams. I don't like our position against top 10 opponents. I feel like with this roster that we have coming in, we should be significantly better than we are. If you are going to fire him, then at least give him the respect of firing him at the end of the season. Because what Franklin did was something that a lot of coaches would have never stepped in and done. Let's not forget why names were on the back of those jerseys. Let's not forget that there is a shift in how people view Penn State now. And let's also not forget that there wasn't a line going around the block to help out Penn State. That was a thin line. And let's go ahead and take a look at what Saquon Barkley has been in the NFL. As long as that name is significant, then Penn State is on the forefront of recruiting for any athlete that is out there. And to me, ultimately, this sends the wrong message. This sends the message of we do not care about anything. We will let you go. We will fire you. We will get rid of you in an instant. It takes nothing. There might have been some coaches lingering around the block going, I could do something with Penn State. Now, that may not be a significant roster of people that are just waiting and chomping at the bit. Now, I know, first of all, everybody's throwing the name around Matt Rule. And I'm not saying Matt Rule wouldn't take it. He probably would. But you are literally potentially getting worse. Sure, Nebraska's doing great right now, but who have they played? And even one decent opponent, they got beat. And let's not forget Matt Rule's record against top 25 football teams is 2-23. And when has he ever been close to anything? Look, Matt Rule could talk about the criticism he got in Carolina and the criticism he gets in Nebraska and the criticism he got here and there and everywhere. I'm not going to say I disagree with it, but I am going to say this. Nobody's immune to it, number one. And number two, there are reasons why Matt Rule suffers that type of criticism. For some reason, he's this highly sought-out football coach to a lot of people, but he hasn't accomplished anything. Name one thing Matt Rule has done of any significance. I'll wait. Does anybody think Troy would have really been able to compete? I was rooting for him. I love the underdog, but come on. After what we saw in Carolina, what we saw again, right? And now Nebraska's having, let's let this year play out. Nebraska's not going to be any better at the end of the season or in any better position at the end of this year than they are right now. You might say this could be a potentially down year for the Big Ten, but I don't think that's going to alter the position of Nebraska if they make the playoffs. They're going to face the right team, and they're going to get mauled by 90. That's a simple, I don't even think that's a guess. I can't call it a fact, but I'm not going to call it a guess. Okay? Secondly, I know that people are also going to throw the name around John Gruden, right? The whole thing with the NFL, the emails, all the privilege that he's got to that now, the potential of the NFL, the rumors circulating, they might just pay that man off, whatever the case is. His energy, a lot of people seem to like it. They think college football would be a good place for him. Look, I think a lot of people believed that he was going to do that with Nebraska years ago, and nothing ended up working out for anybody. I'm not saying that John Gruden wouldn't go and coach college football, but let's not forget how intense he is. You can do some of that in the pros, but look, the way that college football is changing and the money that's involved and a lot of the things that he himself does not agree with in college football, I don't think it would work. He would have to find lunch pail guys, and the minute anybody asks about money, he's not going to view that individual as a lunch pail guy anymore. Just because an 18-year-old asks about money doesn't mean they're not lunch pail guys. It just means they want to get their worth. And I don't know that John Gruden's going to see it that way. And by the way, just because you are successful in the NFL does not mean you are going to be successful in college. Sure, he's got a Super Bowl ring, but first of all, it could be argued that that was Tony Dungy's squad. Let's not forget that. Number two, let's take a look at Bill Belichick. Horrendous what is going on in North Carolina. It's actually worse than when Mac Brown was there, unequivocally. It's literally secondhand embarrassment for everybody that watches. And I don't think that's an overstatement. And let's look at another guy that was under Bill Belichick. The big-time offensive coordinator, Charlie Weiss. Everybody thought he was going to go to college and do something. He did nothing at Notre Dame. He did nothing at KU. Just because you are successful in the pros does not mean you are going to be successful in college. Herm Edwards had a little bit of success in the pros, had literally no success in college. And it works vice versa. Urban Meyer was great in college football, tanked in the NFL. Nick Saban, probably the coaching GOAT, phenomenal, specifically in the SEC, horrible in the NFL. Just because you are great in one medium does not translate to the other. And I don't know that Gruden would be good in college football. Guy we just talked about, Matt Rule, pretty good in college at first. That's what it looked like. Gets a job at Carolina, nothing. Just because you can coach in the NFL, it's a different brand. It's a different style. It's a different way of viewing things. You're not dealing with more mature 28, 29, and 30-year-olds. You are still dealing with 18, 19, and 20-year-olds, and not everybody has the capacity of understanding the new generation. I'm not faulting anybody for that. What I am simply saying is the relatability becomes a thing among a million and one other deals. And a lot of the generation that is still up in coaching right now does not agree with what's going on in college football. So why would they even begin to think that they would be successful there to begin with? Surely you can't put in your mind that a guy who says, I can't stand athletes getting paid at the collegiate level, pay your dues like everybody else did before you, is going to go and coach at a place like Penn State and go, yeah, we can make this work because I don't want to give guys money. Come on. You can't it wouldn't work. I'm just telling you that right now. Who do I think would work at Penn State? Well, I think you're going to find out that you can do a lot worse than James Franklin, but I think you're also going to find out that you could potentially do better. I don't know that there's really a name out there that is really phenomenal that would leave where they're at. I mean, it would literally have to take the right amount of money. It would literally take the right amount of money. And the hate that they would get initially may overshadow anything that they would do. So you're going to have to really look around the coordinators, and you're going to have to go, okay, who's an established coordinator that we really, truly think can be great at coaching college football? And it's going to have to be all aspects. Look, forget everything that he said about the intangibles of a coach that he wants. You have to find somebody that understands money. Now, you could say Prime, but I think Prime would be more concerned with how he would look if he left Colorado. I think the guy who follows Franklin is probably going to fall flat on his face anyway. So at this point, I don't know that it matters. I think you are going to go through a couple of coaches. Remember, Texas did it to Mac Brown. They thought they could go out and find greener grass because we're Texas. How long did it take? I'm just saying. All right, everybody, I am Drew Duncan. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan Radio. I am wherever you're listening to broadcasts. Just take your device to play the Drew Duncan Sports Show, The Smoke by Drew Duncan. Everybody stay safe, take care of yourselves, and have a wonderful rest of your night and or day.